now.
No! Hello!
It's been like this little thing on the internet, and I thought it was kind of funny because we're doing mostly Native American and Turkey this, and like whatever holiday we're on, like Veterans Day and stuff this month, so something more folly. Just like December, we'll do more like Christmassy stuff. Anyways, this one, we're talking about what type of food the Pilgrims ate and stuff around what they considered was Thanksgiving. Massacre. But we'll get into that later.
Assholes.
So my intro that I made. So this month is Thanksgiving, or I prefer Indigenous Peoples Day.
Indigenous Peoples Day is Columbus Day.
I thought it was Thanksgiving.
No.
So when's Thanksgiving?
I don't remember exactly, but Indigenous Peoples Day is Columbus Day because everybody calls it Columbus Day, but he didn't really fucking...
He didn't find anything.
You know.
That's another story.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's definitely not
Don't listen to her.
Thanksgiving. It's Massacre, the Native American Tribes Day.
There you go.
We will for sure throughout the month get into ways in colonists really were awful to the Native Americans, and true stories behind lives of some famous Native people from history that may be quite different than what we have learned in history books. Today we're going to start with what kind of food the colonists may have had to eat. The resource says on Thanksgiving, but really it's probably what they had to eat in general. Also, we'll get into ways others around the world celebrate this holiday.
It's not a holiday.
Other countries is a little different.
It's not a holiday. It's a funeral. Seriously.
Well, I don't want to get into it now. The first time they did it was they actually got together. The second one was when they murdered and burnt down their tribes' tents.
Samp. A derivative of a primarily English porridge is a mixture of corn and milk mixed into a rather soupy consistency. That sounds gross. In the 1600s, book 2 Voyages to England, John Jocelyn states that the samp would be boiled by the gallon after the corn was ground into a flour and stirred into a combination of milk and water. Samp could have either been a side dish or a full meal, depending on the situation. Ew.
Kind of sounds like porridge or something of that consistency.
I don't really like porridge.
I took a bite of candy. Okay. Hardtack, which I've actually had. I've had hardtack. We made it for school once.
Okay. Read about it.
Okay.
I want to know what hardtack is.
Hardtack was also a name applied to these biscuits served primarily during the Civil War. They were often derided and would frequently be infested with bugs. Hardtack existed during the Pilgrims era too. It would often be eaten in darker places so they didn't have to see the bugs, and dipped in liquids. The dipping had a dual purpose. First, it would lighten the biscuit, rock hard jaw, breaking consistency, plus it killed the maggots. We didn't have maggots in ours, thank God. But hardtack's like a really, really hard, thick cracker.
Maggots.
Well, when you're back in those days, extra protein.
Ew. I get to talk about maize.
About who?
Maize.
Mesa?
Maize.
Oh.
Thanks to the Native American people, they got corn. Because it grew better than English grains. Pilgrims referred to maize as Indian corn. The corn was planted in the spring, with the Wampanoag using small heron fish as fertilizer for its growth. The corn would have been dried out by November, meaning the Pilgrims would not have eaten corn on the cob at Thanksgiving. Corn would have been shucked as well as ground. This would have been primarily done to make it into a meal, or to cook into bread. Either way, maize would have been a staple of Pilgrim diets at the time of the first feast.
Lobster.
Mm.
I'm gonna butcher these people's names.
Haha.
Patuanto was again instrumental in teaching the Pilgrims to catch and cook lobsters. The Pilgrims, Edward Winslow, even sent a letter back to England in 1922 detailing the feast, which is reported to have lasted up to 5 days. And lobster was really put over as a major dish. This letter electrified the imagination of all who read it and started to turn the harvest feast into Thanksgiving.
Ooh, pumpkins. Pumpkins. The Pilgrims would likely have dug out the contents of the pumpkin and refilled it with eggs and other items. The pumpkin would have been cooked to a blackened outside shell. In this way, the pumpkin would have served as an edible pot, with the contents being scooped out and served. Were not specifically mentioned until the account of the second Thanksgiving feast was more of a massacre, but we will get into that at a later date. That makes no sense, dear. You're making no sense.
So wild fowl. Ducks or geese were served at the first Thanksgiving. The simple fact is that ducks and geese were more plentiful in autumn to hunt than turkeys were. There is also the great possibility that passenger pigeons, which have been extinct for over a century, would have been plentiful at the time. Swan may have also been on the menu. Even a reason to use these birds over turkey is the issue of preparation. The smaller fowl can be roasted, which would make them easier to cook for a large crowd. Back then, turkey would have to be boiled prior to stuffing, which was much bigger pain back in the day. Why did you sound like you were snoring?
No, I was trying to breathe. Fish. Everybody knows about fish. Fish, specifically Atlantic white cod, which is good, would have been a staple of most any meal done by the Pilgrims. Cod was plentiful, as well as desired for its lean white meat. The Pilgrims were quite intent on fishing, except they were terrible at it. Squanto and the others taught the Pilgrims not only to fish, but also to use the rest of the fish as fertilizer for crops and oils. Of course, cod would not be the only seafood on the menu. There would have also been quahogs, or clams. Did you know that quahog means clams?
They go into it on Family Guy.
Really? I didn't know that. Which were steamed. Bass and oysters would have been plentiful as well. In short, the bulk of the first Thanksgiving would have most likely been a seafood feast. Well, yeah, because they couldn't really have...
my type of Thanksgiving.
They couldn't really have vegetables back then, during that time, because they would have all died by that time.
Sounds like my kind of Thanksgiving.
Unless they dried them out, you know. Yeah, sounds like a pretty good Thanksgiving.
Deer or venison? That and buffalo are my favorite.
Oh, buffalo.
According to Edward Winslow, author of the only known account of the event, the Wampanoag killed 5 deer for the feast. Winslow was extremely specific about the deer portion of the meal, and only vaguely referred to the bird meat as fowl, so you can guess which dish was his favorite. That would be my favorite too.
Deer is pretty freaking good.
I like gamey meat though, but I'm weird.
I was just talking about dried fruit. Dried fruit. Fruit was considered to be more of a snack by the Pilgrims. However, there was not refrigeration to store fruits. The solution, particularly when out of season or when you did not have a budget to ship them from Spain, was to dry the fruit and eat them later. Drying could be done either outside or in shelters to keep away the flies. In addition to sun-drying fruit, there was also the option of oven-drying fruits in cooler climates. Dried fruit, such as raisins, would have been a treat or dessert to eat at the first Thanksgiving table. I like raisins. A lot of people don't, but I do.
I like dried fruit in general.
Me too.
Now I've had this, but I doubt you have. Eel.
No.
It is well known that Squanto took pity on the Pilgrims and helped teach them how to live off the land and water. One of the hunting methods that Squanto taught them was to spear eels, who were curled up in muddy areas during colder weather. As a matter of fact, the feast made when the Pilgrims made peace with the leader of the Massasoit tribe was a feast of eels. The hunting of eels is also backed up by Pilgrim accounts. You should read all that. I messed up. That's all that.
I had planned on reading all that because it's not highlighted.
I was wishing a cat.
I think you'd hear it if you were. Now we can get into how different places around the world celebrate. Yay! Mahragan, or Iran. The Festival of Autumn is the Persian version. I'm sorry. The Persian version of Thanksgiving. It is as
Sweet tart. Down the windpipe.
It is a Zoroastrian festival that goes back to the 4th century BC, long before Persians became Muslim. It takes its name from the Mer, the Zoroastrian deity of love and friendship. Much of this harvest holiday has changed since antiquity. Largely after... God damn it, my throat's dry.
Ended it, so.
What?
I don't know where you ended at, so. Yeah, baby.
Just trying to breathe.
Don't need to do that.
Much of this harvest holiday has changed since antiquity, largely after the rise of Islam. But Mahragan is still celebrated by many modern Persians, especially since its revival in the 1960s when the Postal Service of Tehran to commemorate the Mahragan Festival issued a special limited edition of postage stamps now considered rare collectibles. Mahragan includes family reunions across the country, prayers in front of a large mirror, and a lavishly decorated dinner table adorned with old-fashioned silver plates and discs, flowers, incense, wild marjoram, and silver coins. There's a lot of traditional food served with sherbet, rosewater, almonds, sweets, apples, pomegranates, and lotus seeds. My dentures are freaking out.
Cerealia, ancient Rome. This is an ancient version of Thanksgiving, and even though it isn't celebrated today, we can't overlook its historical significance. And on the role this holiday played in ancient Rome, Cerealia was dedicated to Ceres, the Roman goddess of grain. It was celebrated every autumn on October 4th, so that harvest festival is also called the autumnal festival. The Romans loved to party, and Cerealia was no exception. The festival included parades, sporting events in front of the ecstatic Roman crowd, and splendid Thanksgiving feasts. I'm sure Spartans too. Held either privately in the homes of wealthy or publicly organized by the municipality. Revelers feasted on roasted pigs and the first products of the autumn harvest, all dedicated to Ceres. As a sign of gratitude, along with the mountains of food to eat, citizens also drank rivers of wine, which helped fuel a common Roman custom not mentioned in school books, lots of sex and orgies. I need to go to Rome.
Rome doesn't exist anymore, really. Not in that way.
I need some wine and sex and orgies.
No orgies! You can have sex with me. You don't need orgies.
Orgies. Sex, drugs, and orgies. Even look like it.
It's not funny.
It's that Tago.
Chuseok, Korea, also known as the Korean Thanksgiving. Tickling me is not okay when I'm in the middle of reading, dumbass. Is a major holiday in Korea. Its date is determined by the lunar calendar, so it is held on the 15th day of the 8th lunar month. The holiday usually lasts 3 days, and like most harvest festivals, it includes family reunions. In Korea, families gather at their ancestral homes to give thanks and to feast on delicious traditional food, like delicate rice cakes steamed on a bed of pine needles. People eat pine needles?
I guess so.
After the holiday meal is over, family members visit their ancestors' graves for Beokko. I probably butchered that, I'm sorry. Customary act of clearing away any weeds that may have grown up over the burial mound. They also play traditional folk games such as... Oh, Lord.
I didn't know that was a game.
Oh, shut up. I'm going to butcher the crap out of this game. Gang Sule? I don't know. Kind of dance that goes back 5,000 years. In Korea, gift giving is part of the harvest festival, and it's common to give attractively boxed gifts of a popular food spam.
Spam.
I don't like spam.
And long as it's not cooked, I like it.
I grew up on spam, and it's terrible.
This one's the last one.
What?
Oh, you moved the phone cord and I thought there was a bug on the back of my leg. Okay. Stop it. Tizinganati.
Word you can't pronounce.
Shocking. From Greece. In Greece, there's nothing similar to Thanksgiving except that word. Let's call it tea.
Tea.
The closest thing in the country has to a harvest festival. It's one of the traditional celebrations of February, carnival season in Greece. It always falls on a Thursday and is where I guess its name, since tea loosely translated means barbecue Thursday. Jeez. Wow. It's that time for Greeks to thank the Lord for the bounties he gave them during the year and to gain strength for the next 40 days of fasting. Gosh, no thank you. The Lenten days before Easter, so during tea, the mouth-watering aromas of barbecuing meats will fill every corner of every street in Greece. At night, the hosts of the family reunions lay out vast amounts of souvlaki Gyros or gyro. It depends on where you go. What it's called.
They're gyros.
Gyros, gyros, the lamb and pork, and lots of wine. And the night ends with plenty of high-spirited plate smashing and joyous dancing.
Plate smashing.
I want to go to Greece now.
I just want to smash things. Dia de Acão de Graças. From Brazil. The Brazilian version of Thanksgiving is similar to the American one, and there's an historical explanation for this too. Thanksgiving was established in the country of coffee in the late 1940s by Brazilian President Gaspar Dutra, after he heard the Brazilian ambassador in the United States describe the American holiday. Originally, the Brazilian version of Thanksgiving was almost identical to the American one. In 1966, Brazil even officially designated the fourth Thursday of November as Thanksgiving Day, just as it is in the United States. Brazilians, however, have a colorful and diverse culture of their own, and through the years they have greatly changed the holiday so that now it's quite different from the American Thanksgiving. Attending Mass on Dia de Acão de Graças is a must for all who want to offer to God their gratitude for the abundant harvest, and afterwards the younger set joins in the revelry of the Thanksgiving Carnival, or takes advantage of the hot, sunny weather to go to beautiful beaches. The Brazilian Thanksgiving meal naturally features Peru roast turkey as the main dish, garnished with fixings for every taste. Cracklings, sweet potatoes, exotic salads, cornbread stuffing, and pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie. Cranberries don't grow in Brazil, so instead of cranberry sauce, Brazilians use a similar fruit to make abaticaba sauce. Not really sure what abaticaba is.
I will have to look it up.
Put a picture of it right now.
Liberian Thanksgiving, or in Liberian.
Not librarian.
Liberian.
Yes.
Thanksgiving from Libya. The influence of the American Thanksgiving in Libya is really obvious. In fact, this holiday, along with the Canadian Thanksgiving, is one of the versions of Thanksgiving most like the American one. This has a reasonable explanation since Liberia was established as an official state only in 1822, mainly by freed African American slaves. Naturally, the former Americans carried many cultural elements of their previous country to their new land, and one of them was Thanksgiving. Now celebrated in Liberia every year on the first Thursday of November. Over the years, however, aspects of African culture, and more specifically Liberian culture, say it right?
Yes.
Were added to the American traditions, and the holiday shows the changes. For one thing, Liberian for their gratitude that they are free people today and no longer slaves. But some of the biggest differences are in the food. Liberia and prefer chicken to turkey. Mass cava is served instead of mashed potatoes. Liberians, they really love their food all hot and spicy, so Thanksgiving dishes are made with plenty of cayenne and fury peppers.
Oh!
What's wrong with you?
My tonsils are coming out. Sorry guys, I need to reglue my dentures. They're hurting. Crop over in Barbados. Summer Festival is the biggest harvest holiday festival in Barbados. No. What do you keep doing that for? As early as the 1870s, the people of Barbados organized crop over festivals to thank God and to rejoice in another year of bountiful sugarcane harvests. But the celebration faded away for many decades after the decline of sugar production that began in the mid-1940s. God, I'm having trouble breathing. Then in 1974, the holiday was revived with more elements of Barbadian culture added. Crop Over Festival nowadays includes parades and colorful carnivals with big doses of calypso music and dancing, and even bigger doses of local food, candy, and excessive alcohol, all more reminiscent of the carnivals of Brazil than of Thanksgiving in the United States.
Let's go.
Alright, let's do it.
I just want to go to each country and celebrate their Thanksgiving.
Be fun.
This is a Ghana festival, guys. Homoa Festival.
Homo.
So I was trying not to say it like that. Dickhead. This festival is one of the most important holidays in modern Ghana, celebrated mostly by the people of Ga, as they are known the most adventurous and exploratory ethnic group in Ghana. The people of Ga once traveled all across Africa before finally settling in Ghana. During this migration, they endured many hardships, including terrible famine. For those memories, meaning to endure hunger, was born. When I say H, starts in May with the traditional sowing of melt of priests and commemorate the day the ancestors won the victory over hunger. After the harvest, in August and September, the people feast on traditional favorites such as palm nut soup with fish. Famine is hooted at and ridiculed with songs and dancing. This revelers praise God for the good fortune and guided them to the blessed land of Ghana. Palm nut soup.
Nut soup. Do they nut in their soup? Oh my God.
What? I'm glad you get that. It's German though, so you gotta go.
Ernte Dankfest? Dude, I bet they get high. It's Ernte Dankfest. Germans celebrate their own version of Thanksgiving, but in their own unique way. They get blitzed.
Yeah.
The main difference between similar holidays around the world and Germany's Ernte Dankfest is that in Germany it's not a holiday that most Germans combine with family reunions. It's a religious holiday which differs regionally depending on each location's history and cultural traditions. Ernte Dankfest, which means Harvest Festival, is usually celebrated in late September or early October. This is a Protestant holiday in which the church plays a large role. An Ernte Dankfest celebration in a big city like Berlin typically includes volunteer work for the poor and attending Mass, followed by music, dancing, and lots of food in and outside the church. The festival is especially popular with the youngsters because it peaks with torch-lit parades and fireworks. My God, stop that.
This sounds like fun. The Moon Festival from China. Also known as the Mid-Autumn Festival. In the Chinese version of Thanksgiving, it is considered one of the most significant traditional celebrations in China, going back to antiquity. Legend says that the goddess Change flew them to the moon. It's like, I'll put it at the bottom. It's not spelled change. Well, it's spelled change, but it's weird. Where she would stay forever. Now she is considered the goddess of the moon, and the moon festival is dedicated to her. The children love such fairy tales and myths, but the moon festival is also a great opportunity for family reunions, and every year on the evening of August harvest moon, most Chinese families find a way to get together. You're not going to hide that from me. To enjoy the full moon, eat delicious pastries called moon cakes, dance, sing, and recite traditional moon poems.
Moon cakes!
Unmarried people consider the moon festival a perfect opportunity for romance.
Romance.
All over the country, young men coax their best girls to slip away for the moment for a conversation, commonly held on this romantic evening, a proposal of marriage under the beautiful.
Oh,
bring the script back out.
Sweet.
That's the last one. So, what are you guys thankful for this year? I always hate that question. What are you thankful for this year?
What am I thankful for this year? I am thankful that I found you.
Oh, I'm thankful for you and my family. And my wonderful job.
You know, I'm thankful for your family, too. They love me to death.
This wonderful apartment. And my kitty cats.
You know what I'm not thankful for? Being sick all the damn time.
And just something new, you guys. So, from now on, if you guys leave a comment, I will shout you out on the next video.
Woohoo!
If you guys have any ideas to improve my videos or our videos, let me know. How do you guys celebrate Thanksgiving?
Yes. We need to come up with our own tradition because celebrating the massacre of half of my people is not cool.
I just think it's a good time for family.
By the other half of my people.
It's a good time for family and friends and food.
See, Thanksgiving takes half of my people and celebrates the fact that they had destroyed the other half of my people. Hey! Damn it!
I tipped over your candy.
You're a dick! Pick my candy up.
Teacher, I just hide the script for the next video.
That's because I'm hungry and I just want to go eat food first.
Anyways, you guys, I better feed the grumpy one. Bye, you guys.